Long-range drones from the SBU Special Operations Center struck the Bashkortostan oil refinery. This was confirmed to the Rada TV channel by sources within the security service. After the drone strike, a fire broke out in the area of the crude oil processing unit. The facility is located in the city of UFA in the Republic of Bashkortostan, 1,400 kilometers from Ukraine. UFA is one of the largest oil refining centers in Russia and supplies fuel and lubricants to the enemy's armed forces. This is already the third deep strike by the SBU in Bashkortostan in the past month. And now, joining us live is Pavlo Lakiychuk, Head of Security Programs at the Center for Global Studies Strategy 21. Mr. Pavlo, welcome.
Good afternoon. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory to the heroes. In fact, the successes in implementing the deep strike program are evident. Last month, the number of strikes on Russian territory reached 70. This was reported by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky. A record for range was also set. Drones reached the Tyumen oil refinery, 2,000 kilometers away, and today Bashkortostan Ufa, 1,400 kilometers. What does this actually mean for the concept of the Kremlin's deep rear?
You know, each strike can be evaluated individually. A devastating strike on a single crucial oil refinery completely stops that vital stream of essential dollars that should be flowing directly from the sale of valuable oil products. This significant money that should be going to fully arm the Russian occupation army, instead, it turns back, right? Consequently, funds are then spent on the extensive and costly process of restoring that damaged oil infrastructure. This can be assessed systematically. Both Syrsky and energy experts say that, well, about 18 to 21% of Russian oil refining capacity has been knocked out. Basically, everyone agrees that it's about 1/5, and that's significant too. But you can also look at it conceptually. Let me remind you of September 2022, when Zaluzhnyi and Zabrodsky, our two generals, wrote a programmatic article about the results of 2022 and plans for 2023. And there, among other things, they introduced a term, the center of gravity of the war. Back then, they defined the center of gravity of the war as the ability to strike across the entire territory of the enemy, and said that yes, the center of gravity is currently above us. Russia possesses all the capabilities to strike anywhere across Ukraine. We, at that time, had a maximum strike range of up to 100 kilometers into enemy territory. And our task for 2023 was to shift this pendulum, yes, onto the enemy's territory. We expected that our partners would obviously hear us, understand our needs, and provide the necessary weapons. But, well, the partners heard, saw, and expressed deep concern. And so 3 years have passed, right? It was already September 2022. Now it's October 2025. So in my opinion, this pendulum, the center of gravity of the war, is shifting toward the enemy. Well, maybe not yet on their territory, but definitely somewhere in the middle now. And depending on precisely how our defense forces act with this crucial concept, well, I truly think it may, perhaps to a very large extent, ultimately determine the overall outcome of this significant war, our defensive war against the aggressive state.
Let's talk, Mr. Pavlo, about our defense and our capabilities because, for example, the massive attack by the Russian Federation on October 10th, which was mainly against energy facilities, showed the following. As the spokesperson for the Air Force said, there were many ballistic missiles which can only be shot down by Patriots. Right now, a Ukrainian delegation is heading to the United States of America, where, among other things, the issue of strengthening our air defense will also be raised. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, is talking about 10 Patriot systems that Trump promised. In particular, they will be negotiating the delivery timelines for these systems. But let's talk about the latest Russian attack. What new challenges for our air defense did this attack reveal, considering the number of ballistic missiles launched in a single night?
It's not about the ballistic missiles we need to discuss.
Well, yes, it was a combined, massive, coordinated attack.
Simple Shaheds, due to their sheer numbers, end up causing as much damage, if not more, than ballistic missile strikes when you look at the total impact. And if back in 2024, say in the fall of 2024, the enemy would launch as many Shaheds in a month as they now launch in a single strike, In other words, the number of means of attack has increased by an order of magnitude, by tens of times. And our air defense has strengthened. Well, I don't know if it has doubled, that's already very good, but obviously to match that, our capability would need to increase fivefold. And today Syrski spoke about our air defense, saying it operates at 70% effectiveness. What is the problem? The problem, of course, is also with the means of attack. And the problem is also managerial, in how the defensive line is constructed. But the problem also lies in the number of air defense systems, especially when it comes to Shaheds. I'll repeat, the number of Shaheds has increased by an order of magnitude that is tenfold, if not more, or maybe even more. But the number of systems has not increased, or has increased only slightly. That means each crew now has to deal with at least 5 times more targets. Not 5 more, but 5 times as many. And the corresponding very significant result here is that starting from relatively simple and straightforward solutions like effectively equipping air defense forces or simply equipping those same volunteer formations of territorial communities with necessary resources, from relatively simple technical solutions like advanced interceptor drones and thoughtfully adapting civilian aviation to effectively destroy these hostile drones, to such complex, highly sophisticated, and high-tech issues as the formidable Patriots. Well, maybe even, former President Trump had indeed promised powerful cruise missiles. So what do we have there? There are actually launches for the SM standard, SM-9. If the Patriots use the SM-3 standard, then these are more modern, and they are compatible with the same Typhoon, with Tomahawk, Universal, and with the SM-9, so acquiring such a system will definitely both create a threat for the enemy by enabling the use of cruise missiles and significantly strengthen our air defense with a modern air defense system. But, well, will we actually get such advanced weapons from our American partners, do you think? Well, that's a big question.
It really is a question, and in particular, it's a question of how quickly Trump wants to end this war. So specifically, if we're talking about the Typhoons, they really do possess the kind of immense and significant power that could fundamentally change, well, certain established rules of the entire game, truly becoming something of a transformative game changer in the process.
I don't think they'll be a game changer. I actually don't believe that there's any weapon that's a wonder weapon. Like, you get a cannon, a Tsar cannon, and suddenly you're the winner. No, there's no such thing. Everything depends on the integrated use of weapons. Like deep strikes, the president says, Flamingos and Neptunes work together as a pair. But it's not just them working together. To effectively break through enemy air defense systems, first you have to successfully get through their initial defenses. Our advanced fighters will then precisely hit the enemy's critical radar installations with powerful harms. Then drones will take out their air defense systems, and only after that do the strike assets penetrate the enemy's lines. So it's a system, and every element is important. It might seem like a small thing, right? We start with HARMS anti-radiation missiles. If we don't destroy these enemy radar stations, then the whole chain loses its meaning. And it's the same with every type of weapon. It's about organization and quality here. Of course, such systems will strengthen us. On the one hand, they will strengthen our air defense, which needs long-range missiles, and on the other hand, even just the threat itself, yes, the looming danger. Do you see how Putin reacts? The use of long-range cruise missiles can influence the enemy's position, so it would be great if we get them. If we don't get them, we'll have to manage on our own. As the previous Defense Minister Lloyd Austin under Biden said when they didn't give permission to use the next round of attacks, they justified it by saying that, well, the Russians just moved their planes 300 kilometers further away. But guys, you have your own means of striking for which you don't need anyone's permission to use. We are defending ourselves. And with our own weapons, we will strike the enemy, whether it's in the Kremlin, in Sochi, or even in Vladivostok. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Well said, Mr. Pavlo. Thank you for the conversation and for your answers. Pavlo Lakiychuk, Head of Security Programs at the Center for Global Studies, Strategy 21, was with us live.